It is hard to imagine how anyone would end up here, a tiny speck on the giant barreling waves of the Pacific.
The conditions give you a certain power and a certain strength that you wouldn't have if they weren't there. So look at this one. Oh yeah.
But big wave surfer Laird Hamiliton, along with surfing partner Dave Kalama, have dedicated their lives to riding some of the most monstrous waves to ever curl out of the ocean.
It's sort of like climbing a mountain. You know, you can go a little higher, you can go a little higher and a little bigger.
This, believe it or not, is their winter wonderland. Mountains of water formed this time of year when storms from the Pacific slam into Hawaii. But not all winters are created equal.
I can say I've been waiting a few decades to have a winter like this.
These are some of the biggest swells on record, epic waves, one after another. And this year, it happens like this every few weeks.
Last night I was up at 1, I was up at 4. Eventually I got up before 5 o'clock. And that's usually when the surf's big. I don't consciously know, but somehow I feel it.
When the waves are this menacing,
oh, look at that set. Oh my goodness.
Surfing becomes a solemn ritual, fun, submerged in fear.
To some degree, you're playing a little bit of Russian roulette, and you're rolling the dice every time you catch a big wave.
The body regularly takes a beating.
I've had stitches and broken bones and punctured cheeks and scalped head.
Despite the dangers, growing up on the famed North Shore of Oahu, Laird always knew he would be a surfer. Laird inherited the tradition of the big wave pioneers of the 50s and 60s. The competitive surfing circuit was never for him, and he looked for other ways to innovate the sport. By the mid-90s, Laird and Dave and a couple of others came up with a way to ride waves that had once been unreachable. Instead of paddling out, they used jet skis to tow themselves onto the massive wave. The jet ski drops you off on the face of the wave. From there, you're on your own.
Yeah, it is cheating. But if you look at it from the perspective of, well, I'm not trying to paddle in and catch a wave, I'm trying to ride it, then it's not.
A few years later came foiling, the next innovation, a hydrofoil attached to the bottom of the surfboard, raising it about 4 feet out of the water. It's more flying than surfing.
You're riding on a wing that's underwater. It's like an airplane, a miniature airplane that's under the water.
Now they can ride on waves that aren't breaking and on surf that is, as they say, gnarly. These new techniques mean there are more waves to ride and more chances to get hurt.
Yes, I've had days where I say, you know what, can you do me a favor? I'll have dreams and I won't even get into what the dreams were. And I'll just say, I just need you just to be heads up.
It was the last wave and I'd been surfing all morning, probably surfed three hours or something.
Laird's latest big wipeout was last month at a scary break called Jaws on the North Shore of Maui. There he is on the left.
It was just the very last wave, clipped me. The board hit me and fractured my clavicle. You can see it's sticking up pretty good right now. I mean, it doesn't hurt if I don't hit it or if I don't move my arm a certain way, but it hurts.
But a broken collarbone won't keep him off the board.
How sincere are you? I mean, are you going to be easily discouraged by one little injury? Or 2 or 100?
In between sets, Laird lives in Kauai with his wife Gabby and their 2 children. A favorite pastime when not surfing, waiting for the surf.
Like a bat, hanging upside down.
I'm going with the more conventional method of relaxation.
And staring at the surf.
Look at this one doubling up on the inside. Just a heaver. Ooh, look at Honolulu, here we go.
His home playground, a bay on the north shore of Kauai, thought to be the inspiration for the song Puff the Magic Dragon. It's called Honolulu, though Peter, Paul, and Mary mispronounce it. In a land called Honolulu. Maybe there was too much puff. When the surf is a mere 15 feet, stand-up paddling is the discipline of choice.
It's a stand-up paddle gun. It's designed for standing on and paddling with a paddle.
It is not a bad setup. Their commute down a river in Laird's backyard. 10 minutes later, they're in the ocean.
The challenge of trying to take a board like this and ride giant waves is worthy of a life.
Wipeouts notwithstanding, Laird and the others have conquered the power of the wave. Now there's one last thing to pioneer. What's underneath?
Our foils ride under the water. I'd like to be in the foil riding under the water. It's very uncrowded out there under the water. There's no one there except the turtles.
Uncharted territory. Until then, they're happy to stay up here atop each new swell the winter weather brings.
For me, it was an absolutely great morning. I was just vibrating from, the enjoyment.
My last wave was a good one. And so, sometimes it's nice to finish on a high note.
They are content to be tiny specks on those giant waves. I'm Jeremy Hubbard for Night Moon.